I feel broken, not because life betrayed me, not because anyone else failed me, but because I believed in a life that was never mine. I spent years chasing shadows, thinking they were home, building my worth on things that could never hold it, believing that recognition, success, love, or approval could define me, only to discover that none of them could. I mistook my expectations for reality, and in that mistake, I lost touch with the only thing that was ever real, the quiet, steady presence beneath it all, the part of me that was always whole. I thought that if I achieved this, if I became that, if I followed every rule I had been taught, I would finally feel complete. But what I found was emptiness, a hollow echo of everything I thought I needed. The more I tried to sculpt my life to fit those invisible forms, the more fractured I felt, until finally, one day, the weight became unbearable and I stopped. I stopped not because I had found an answer, not because I had a clear vision of what my life should look like, but because I could no longer continue living a story that felt false. And every attempt to follow it made me feel more distant from myself. I stopped because exhaustion replaced ambition, because the ache of trying to force a life into forms that were never meant for me became too loud to ignore. And yet stopping did not bring instant relief. It was terrifying to let go without knowing what would replace the old structure, without a map or a blueprint for what would come next. I realized that to truly pause was to step into uncertainty, to face the void where expectations had been, to feel the trembling absence of what I had thought defined me. Some days the weight of that uncertainty is crushing, even though I know, deep down, what I need to do, to turn inward, to let go of clinging, to trust the quiet presence beneath it all. The world around me pulls in 1,000 directions, insisting that I measure my worth by accomplishment, comparison, and external validation. It is a constant struggle to practice what I know is true, to act from the inner guidance rather than the noise, and to do so without seeing a clear end, without knowing exactly what the right life looks like. I stumble often, I forget, I cling, I chase shadows again. And each time I do, I feel the old ache return, the old confusion, the old whisper of brokenness that now I notice sooner. Now I recognize the pattern, and even though the pull of the world is strong, I can pause and take a breath. I can acknowledge the temptation to define myself by what is outside me, and I can gently return to the quiet, steady presence that never left. The process is neither linear nor easy. There are mornings when the old illusions feel as vivid as ever, when I doubt whether I will ever truly escape the habit of measuring myself against expectations that are not mine. There are afternoons when the weight of society's insistence on measurable success presses against me, when the voices of comparison, of judgment, of not enough, scream louder than the quiet voice I have learned to trust. And there are nights when I lie awake, wondering if I am moving at all, if the path inward is ever ending, if the work I am doing is meaningful when the results are invisible and the end is unclear. Yet, even in these moments of doubt, I find glimmers of clarity. I notice that every time I pause, every time I bring my attention inward, the grip of the old illusions loosens. I feel that the brokenness itself was never the truth of me, but a signal, a doorway, a guide pointing me back to what I have always been. I begin to understand that the life I thought I needed to build, the identity I thought I needed to embody, was never a reflection of reality. It was a reflection of expectation, of fear, of habit, of the unseen insistence that I must earn my place in the world. And in this understanding, I do not feel complete, but I feel more alive. I do not have the answers, but I am learning to notice the voice beneath the noise, the quiet presence that whispers, "You are already enough. You have always been enough." Let go of the illusions and remember this truth. Each day is a delicate practice. Even though I know the truth, living it requires courage. It requires patience. It requires gentle attention to the moments when I slip into old patterns. It requires compassion for myself when I falter. It requires trust in a process I cannot fully see, in a path whose destination is not visible, whose outcome is uncertain, whose reward is not guaranteed, and yet whose guidance is constant, subtle, and unwavering. I am learning to move forward in that uncertainty, to take one step at a time, to notice the clinging, the judging, the striving, and then to release it, however briefly. I am learning that the work of returning inward is never complete, that even as I feel the guidance beneath the illusions, I will still stumble and still find myself carried back again by the quiet voice that waits, that watches, that never abandons. I am learning to honor the struggle, to welcome it as part of the path rather than resist it as failure. The brokenness, the ache, the confusion, these are not signs that I am lost, but signs that I am awakening slowly, imperfectly, and fully human. I am learning to trust that even without a map, without a clear vision of the end, without a roadmap or a guarantee, the quiet presence beneath it all is guiding me. I am learning to rest in that guidance, to breathe into it, to let it carry me even when I cannot see the road ahead. And I invite you, if you feel broken, if you feel lost under the weight of your own expectations, if you do not know the end of your path, I invite you to pause, breathe, notice, feel. Allow yourself to sense the quiet voice beneath the noise. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to know what the destination looks like. You do not need to have control over outcomes. You only need to notice, to turn inward, to feel the presence that has always been here. And in this noticing, in this gentle practice, you may begin to feel what I am beginning to feel. That brokenness is not the truth of you, that the ache is only a signpost, that the quiet voice beneath it all is steady, unshakable, patient, and calling you home. And so, imperfectly, fumblingly, step by step, I continue. I notice, I pause, I breathe, I return. I am not finished. I am not complete, but I am walking, learning, remembering, slowly coming home. And if this reflection resonates with you, I invite you to share your thoughts below. What small steps are you taking to notice the quiet voice within? What expectations are you learning to release? Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you found this helpful, consider liking this video, subscribing for more reflections, and sharing it with someone who might need to hear this today. Together, we can create a space of awareness, presence, and gentle encouragement, one step at a time. The quiet voice is waiting. It is calling you, and it is calling everyone willing to pause, breathe, and come home.